Hey, welcome to my video. This is going to be me walking through cloud databases using Google Firestorm. So first off, I did this all in Python. You can do it in a bunch of different languages. Google Firebase is supported with, some being JavaScript. I know you can do it with just plain Java, but I chose to do it in Python. It's what I'm most comfortable with. So to get started, you're going to import Firebase admin. This is the SDK that you use for initializing your database and accessing it through any kind of Python program that you're going to run. And then you're going to go to Firebase's website, Google Firebase. You'll be able to find it's the first one. You're going to need to create an account, sign in. I did all of that already. And then create a project, name it whatever you want, and then you'll get into this dashboard. So once you're in here, first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to this settings and then service accounts. And you'll get this Firebase admin SDK. So this is going to do all of those things I was talking about just recently. So it's going to import the Firebase admin and then import credentials. So you can just copy paste this code straight into your app. And basically what that's doing is just creating credentials from Firebase on your stuff so that you can access the database. It uses a private key or a token in order for you to have access to your database. So after you paste all this in your code, you'll want to generate a private key, and then in your code have the path to that key be replacing this thing right here. So once you've got all that set up, you can do a bunch of different things. You can go through authentication first. You can just go straight into creating a database. And that's kind of what I did. I decided to just go straight into creating a database. My project is all about being a password manager. So what I did is I just created some display functionality first. It's all command terminal based. Everything's just print lines. It'll prompt you for an option, what you want to do. Do you want to add a password? Do you want to delete a password, update an existing password, or view all your saved passwords? Each of those just calls a function. So inside of here, what we've got is we're setting our database equal to our Firestore.client. So that's just taking the cloud database and setting it equal to this variable. Then we can kind of do a bunch of different things to reference that. So we can reference it by collection. Later on, we'll be able to reference it by document as well, which is even underneath collection. So I kind of just did a global variable of just the passwords collection because all of them are getting saved there. And I just call that my password reference. So inside of the add a password, it'll prompt you for an account name. An example might be like Google or Facebook or GitHub, whatever the account is that you're saving the password for. Then it's going to prompt you for a username. So that's going to be whatever your email was or whatever your username is on the site, and then your password. Then what it does is it goes through that password reference, which is the collection to passwords, and it sets the document with the name that you input. So the document title will be the name of the account. And then it's going to set the username key to the username you enter and the password key to the password you enter. And then it'll just print that it was able to save the password. We've got the delete password as well. What that's going to do is it's going to prompt you to either enter the password name, which was up here, this input, or it'll list every single password that you currently have in your vault. And then that will display and let you choose from those for which one you want to delete. So we go down here, we can see it, say you want to enter the password name yourself. So you select A. So then it'll prompt you to input the password name. And then it'll look through your documents inside of that collection for that name. And then it'll say if that document exists, then it'll prompt you, do you want to delete the passwords for whatever the account was? And then if you do yes, it'll delete the whole document from the collection, and it'll print that it was able to delete. Else, if you hit no, it'll just recursively run this function over and over again. So likewise, if you do B, you want to look at all your saved websites, what this is going to do is it's going to do the same kind of thing, except it's going to get the whole collection and save it equal to this docs variable. And then for every document in that whole collection, it's going to append the ID to this list of documents that I have. And then for every document that's in that list, it'll just print some stuff like with an index and then the document name. So then it'll prompt you for a selection. It says select the number of the password you'd like to delete. I'll show all this when I run the code, but it'll print just like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 for all the passwords that you have saved. And then after you put in your selection, it's going to look for the password name with the selection that you input from the doc name list. So you enter the index location, it finds the password from the list. And then it deletes the one, or it checks first to make sure it exists again. And then if it does exist, then it prompts the same thing as the last one, making sure you want to delete it, yes or no. And the last option is just to exit and it calls display. So then the update password, very similar to deleting a password or adding a password even. It's going to ask for a selection, which is an input, the login name. And then it's going to reference that through the collection and then the document, because that's the document name. And then it's going to see if it exists. And if it does, it's going to prompt for a new username and password. Some future functionality I want to add is similar to how you can list all of them to delete. I'm going to add that to be able to update as well, be able to list all the passwords that you have saved instead. And then if it doesn't exist, it'll just say that it doesn't exist and it'll exit. And then the last one is view passwords. So this one, it just gets the collection again. And then for all the documents in the collection, it's just going to print their document ID and then the stuff contained in the document ID. This whole project right now currently isn't very secure. There's no authentication. There's no like password to get in, right? This is all just a very simple tutorial of using a database. By no means, don't go to GitHub and use this code to save all your passwords. That'd be not a great idea. But for now, it's a good tutorial. One of the things with it not being secure and not having any authentication that I would like to add that I was working on earlier is some simple user email authentication. Firebase has a lot of built-in authentication services. So you go back to their website, you can see like the different sign-in methods. They have email password. They let you to sign in with Google, Apple, your GitHub account, Microsoft, Twitter, Yahoo, all kinds of different sign-in options. I was currently just using email password, and I was going to add some functionality to let them authenticate with an email password and then only be able to view the passwords they were looking at. I haven't gotten it completely working yet. I have them able to create a user, but I still need to work through. Firebase has some code that you can do for writing conditions, so who can view what in the databases. And I was still looking through that documentation in order to get that functionality completely working. So that's another work in progress on this project currently. That is basically it. I can show you it running real quick, and then let me show you the database itself. So, we got some errors. Let's see. The delete password, all because of this being saved incorrectly. Let's see. There we go. So now when we run it, we'll get this prompt. So welcome to your password vault, select an option from below. So let's say the first thing we want to do, we'll just add a password. So we're going to add a password. It's going to add a prompt for an account name. Let's call it, let's say Facebook. So you say Facebook, your username, John Doe, and the password, we're going to have real simple, not secure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you do all that, says it was saved successfully. Awesome. So then say we want to view it to make sure that it did save successfully. Let's hit 4 and view all the passwords that we have. So look at that. We've got Facebook, John Doe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got a couple other ones that I've input previously, GitHub, Google, and Twitter, all with their usernames and their passwords as well. So let's say that we want to update GitHub to have a new user. So, or your new username and password. So let's do 3 to update an existing password. It's going to say enter the login name. We know it's GitHub. It's going to say enter a new username. Let's say it's Jane Doe. And her password's much more secure, 54321. So it says username password successfully updated. Got a random plus in there that I'll have to take out. And then we can view the currently saved passwords. So let's view again, see if it got rid of it. Oh, or it didn't get rid of it. It updated it. GitHub, now Jane Doe, 54321. Fantastic. So last but not least, let's check out the delete functionality. We've got a couple different things in here. So say we know the password name. That's pretty similar to update. So let's say that we don't know the password name. We want a list of all the passwords. So we'll push B, and here we go. So we got 0 Facebook, 1 GitHub, 2 Google, 3 Twitter. So then let's select the number of the password you'd like to delete. So let's say we don't want Twitter anymore. So enter 3. It says, do you want to delete the saved data for the password named Twitter? Yes or no? Yeah, let's get rid of that. I don't use Twitter anyway, right? So we delete that. Password deleted. Awesome. So I can view all of our existing passwords. There we go. Facebook, GitHub, Google. They're not there. Twitter is no longer there. So that's all fine and dandy. It prints out in the console nicely, but let's go look at what it's doing in the actual cloud database. So I go back here to our Firebase. In the browser, we can go over to this Firebase database, Firestore database. And basically what it is here, collections are just anything where you're storing the whole data set. So the collection has sub-documents. Inside of the documents is where the Facebook, GitHub, Google, all of those are going to sit. I've had some issues with their server recently where it's saying that they don't exist. I can assure you they do exist. I mean, we clearly were able to see them in here, and it's just kind of hit or miss. But so that's how it works. And here, when you do see these, you can click on each of them, and then over in this box, it'll load like all of their key value pairs. You can even have sub collections of different documents. So it's really robust, a really great way of storing data online securely. You can add authentication. All around pretty good. This was one user that I had added testing it out, johndoe@gmail.com. But yeah, that is my project in its current state. It's by no means done. There's still a couple bugs, obviously some user input that could really screw it up. If they input something that isn't one of the options, I'd need to add some use cases to handle all of that. But I think as an overall project, it was really cool getting to learn Firebase and see how I was able to store some data. And honestly, just seeing it all working was great. So thanks for taking the time to watch this video. If you'd like, subscribe, get other people seeing this video, get it in the algorithm. But thanks for your time. Catch you next time.